Let me just say that I showed up extremely late to film tonight's video. I had no idea that I was going out to Redlands, California, which is very far from where I live. I just got to walk the floor of Garner Holt. I just got to see a little tiny bit of it, and oh my God, no cameras are allowed, but it is absolutely phenomenal in there. I mean phenomenal. A dream factory like you wouldn't believe. In every little corner, just animatronics, so many familiar characters, cast molds, models, things that are halfway done, all the way done, and AT-AT thrown in the corner like a mind-bending opportunity, and I only got to see the last 5 minutes of it. So I'm at Garner Holt Productions out in Redlands, California. They are the company that manufactures the animatronics and a lot of props that you see not only at Disneyland, but Universal, Knott's. They are the pioneers in this business. I got a last minute email from Dusty over at Mice Chat that this event was happening. So I talked to Beth and I said, I know I haven't been home for a week, but can I get one more work pass? And she's like, yeah, just go, get out of here. I showed up late, but man, oh man, you couldn't film in there anyways. But I'll have to break down what I saw. Tonight's gonna be a very interesting vlog. I'll do the best that I can. I'll film when I'm allowed to. I don't ever break the rules, but man, oh man, I'm telling you, a complete dream factory over there. I'm gonna have to finagle and get like a legit tour at some point because wow.
They've learned what goes into the things we make. Theme park animatronics, special effects, show action equipment, and ride and show concepts. It's equal parts science and art. It's made of dozens of experts in 100 interlocking disciplines. We realized that all those tours, all those students, were an audience we were only beginning to reach. We knew that we needed to focus on them. We needed to show the youth in our community that there was a way to turn their dreams into a career. That was the start of the Garner Holt Foundation. Thank you, Sharon. Sharon, raise your hand, Sharon, so everybody can see it. Sharon is my first employee that I had 30 years ago, 40. Ever since I started Garner Holt Productions in the various buildings that I started in the garage, and we went to a little bit bigger building and a little bit bigger building, and just kept growing. Everybody always wanted to know what we did in the building, and they, even though it was just myself and a couple other people, everybody wanted to know what was going on in there. And I never could say no to people that wanted tours. I brought Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts and doctors and lawyers and teachers and college kids and high school kids, and so I toured them through there constantly. And I always noticed that when they left, they had a grin and an excitement about them that it was, we want to do this someday. Can we work here someday? Even dentists told me, I don't want to be a dentist anymore. I want to work here. Well, you can put teeth in my fingers. So we're building giant toys that make people happy all over the world, and makes me happy to build giant toys. And the old saying that they have that you never work a day in your life if you love what you do. Well, that's me, and so I never would have dreamed of this. Although we'll talk about the scholarships and things later. I always wanted to do something along those lines, and since then it's been a dream come true. Just building fun things and working for the parks and thousands of characters, and kids come in and it's like, oh, you made Chuck E. Cheese. Oh, they start. I had a fellow come in. I don't want to belabor this whole thing, but I had a fellow not very long ago. Some of you took the tour. You walked by the mechanical Chuck E. Cheese over there. I had a fellow that came by that not long ago, and he burst into tears. We're like, sir, what is it? And he says, you don't understand. He says, when I grew up as a child, He says, my parents hated me. Both of them did. And he said, they went to work, they didn't know what to do with me, so they dumped me in a Chuck E. Cheese. I stayed there all day, and then they picked me up after work, every day. He said, Chuck E. became my family. And he said, I see my brother, you know, so I'm just happy to know that the fingers we make are profoundly impactful to people. They make you happy, make you smile. They scare you, they make you laugh. You know, it's in some way, it's getting you away from real life. And that's what Disneyland does, and that's how I felt. And that's noticing the kids coming out of the tours at my shop. I always see them smile, and I always thought to myself, that's the smile I had on my face when I left Disneyland the first time. And you know, that's how important it was to me to do what we do. So enough of this foolishness. I'm just proud and thankful and honored that all of you are supporting us today. And somebody needs to give me a tissue or something. This is ridiculous. I'm always too over emotional about all this stuff when we talk about the kids, you know. So thank you. We'll move on.
Yo, Garner Holt is a legend. To hear another man talk about Disneyland in that way, a successful dude, that's the magic of Disney, right? And what I love about Garner is even though he's worked with Disney, he doesn't work for Disney. And a lot of times people will think, folks like me are like, oh, I bet you want to work with Disney. No, I want to make my own projects in the honor of Disney, as that is my muse, is my subject matter. So to hear such a passionate, emotional man speak so much about how the love of Disney inspired him to change so many people's lives, including mine and yours, with interacting with the characters that he and his crew built, that's my dude. Garner Holt's my new hero. I love that guy. I've always wanted to meet him. Seeing him speak for the first time did not disappoint. Let's go back in and see what else we can find on this very bizarre night.
Whenever candlelights flicker, where the air is deathly still.
Named in honor of the groundbreaking Imagineer Tania Norris, the designer of New Orleans Square and the legendary Haunted Mansion purple wallpaper. This scholarship will be awarded to one of our community's women pursuing a career in design. I'd like to formally announce, sir, the Garner L. Holt Entrepreneurship Scholarship. In honor of our founder, Garner Holt.
Friends, I interrupt today's charity event video to remind you that my favorite charity is subscribing to Hey Brickey. Yeah, that was pretty gross, I realize it. But hey, this charity won't cost you a dime, just a good time. Subscribe today and become a member of Hey Brickey and join our bizarre little YouTube family. Thank you so much for signing up. Now back to today's video.
You know what I'm wearing right now is a jacket of Fulton Burley from the Golden Horseshoe Saloon. Yeah. Because I knew you were a group of special people, and I was very touched to see Garner so honest and transparent and so moved by tonight. So I thought, what the heck? Let's make it a party. Invite Floyd to sing. I think it'd be great if you did. Don't be shy. For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your troubles and your strife. For the bare necessities, for Mother Nature's residues, and just the bare necessities of life. I'm in a Main Street, USA, New Orleans, Puerto Marlin, Adventureland, Critter Country, Fantasy, and Frontierland, Snow White, Peter Pan, Miss Potato, Pinocchio, Teacup, Small World, Pixie Holiday, Bubbly Thunder, Mountain, Splash Mountain, Montana, Space Mountain, Matterhorn, Haunted Mansion, Mr. League of Pirates of the Caribbean. I've been everywhere, man, I've been everywhere. Across the desert bare, I'd read that mountain there. I'd travel, I've had my share, now I gotta go back there.
That was great.
Bill Rogers and Camille Dixon.
You know him as the voice of Teddy the Doghouse and the voice of Sneasel the Weasel on Mickey Mouse Funhouse, and my personal favorite, Kool-Aid Man. Please welcome Brock Powell.
Hey, Kool-Aid! Oh, yeah! A former Disney cast member. He was one of the Dapper Dans for a long time, and a close personal friend. Please welcome Issac Robinson Smith.
Has been performing this particular role for the past several years, but was just officially announced as the official voice of Minnie Mouse. Please welcome Kaitlyn Robbrock.
I just got a chance to meet this alligator tonight. He goes by the name of Louis.
Louis.
He goes by the name of Louis.
That's right.
We'll make sure that you understand that his real name is Michael Leon Wooley.
She is not only a recent graduate of the USC School of Drama, she is the original voice of Doc McStuffins. Please welcome Kiara Mohammed.
If you've been to Disney California Adventure and you've got kids, you've already seen him work. He plays Crush. And boy, does he crush it. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Hernandez.
For over 3 decades, this next performer has been giving voice to the iconic roles of Goofy and Pluto. Please welcome Disney legend Bill Farmer.
Brock, start out with where your voiceover journey began.
Well, as you mentioned, so much started with the mouse. My journey started at the parks with so many of my friends up here. I then went on to be a plaid and eventually had the honor of being mentored by some guy named Bill Farmer. I work on Mickey Mouse Funhouse, Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe, and right now you can catch me as Lyle Fist Puncher on Hamster and Gretel on Disney Plus right now.
My journey also started at the parks. I worked at Disney. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Worked at Disneyland on and off for 11 years as a performer. And beginning of my career, I saw a flyer in the break room at Pixie Hall under Fantasyland, and it said voiceover class from a guy named Brian Nevsky at Imagineering. I took his class and became friends with him, and was maybe overzealous and emailed him every couple weeks and said, no, I'm really serious about doing voiceover for a career. And in my Spanish class in my last year of college, I got an email that said, hey, I got a job for Walt Disney World if you want it. And that's where it started, doing voices for Disney World. Now I'm here.
Well, they said, we're going to do several versions of saying Wakanda Forever, just, different iterations so the guests can hear it. And first of all, the knowledge that I was getting paid to say Wakanda Forever was really awesome. And so I worked with her directly to get the voice and to work on the dialect, because it is a real dialect from Africa. And the way that she worked with me was she would have me create what are called emotional anchor lines, is what we kind of call them. So we would pick lines from the film that would then set me up emotionally to then deliver lines for the show. So there would be like a statesman line, or a kind of a more kingly line, or a familial line if he's talking to Shuri or something like that. Then we got to the battle cry line. And the battle cry line that we chose together was when Black Panther comes back from being defeated at the waterfall, and he says, "I never yielded, and as you can see, I'm not dead." It's a really amazing moment for Black Panther. When we discussed that would be the line we would use, Beth, who was on Zoom, said, "I'm so sorry, I have to excuse myself." And she left the screen for about 2 minutes, and I thought, did I choose the wrong line? Like, what's going on? I'm not sure what's happening. Beth came back completely in tears. She said, "You have to understand that this line that we chose for this part, this big, great, powerful moment, is not only a great redemption moment for Black Panther, but of course everybody knows Chadwick and how he passed away, suffering from cancer for the years where he was, doing these films. So she said, not only is it this redemption for Black Panther, but this was also just Chadwick speaking his truth to the world, saying, look at me, I never yielded, and as you can see, I'm not dead." And in that moment, I understood everything about the character. I understood what power meant. I understood what leadership meant. I understood what Chadwick was doing with the character, and so much more made sense. I went into a well of emotion that I never have experienced with any other character since, and I'm so incredibly honored to take it on. So that's my story with Black Panther.
Over time, I learned what voiceover was. I worked at Disneyland as a cast member and just kept practicing Minnie's voice over and over and over again. And eventually I met Bill, and Bill did my very first animation demo and helped me achieve my agency, and I've been working ever since. So Bill has been crucial to my journey. But it felt so relieving, just because it was a character I loved so much, and I knew how important she was to grown-ups and children and everything in between, and how important she is to Disney's legacy and just reaching that audience. And I loved doing that voice for my friends and for myself and being a part of that. So when I got the voice, it felt like my wish truly did come true. I was so happy. And it's been a blessing every day since, like the crown jewel of my crown.
Jen Rudin, head of casting at Disney, asked me if I would do a recording of me saying some lines and singing a song in my apartment. And I did it with a friend, and 2 years later I got cast as Louis the Alligator in The Princess and the Frog. And they're redoing Splash Mountain and turning it into a ride based on Princess and the Frog. What is it called? Tiana's? Yes. Yes, that. But yes, and I actually have begun recording for it, and I have seen the ride, and it is next level. It is amazing, and it's jaw-dropping. Yeah.
And now that's going to be for one of the largest audiences in the world now.
Yes, and it looks to be like 2024, I think it's coming out.
Very exciting.
A little bit of a wait, but it's going to be well worth it. Yeah.
How does that feel then to be part of a park attraction that's going to be there for many, many years to come?
It's really surreal, especially the ride is really based, it's Louis and Tiana taking you on this ride. And to be a part of history is really amazing. And also, people really love Louis. People have a real affinity to Louis. And that's really amazing. I feel that when people come talk to me, and no one loves Louis more than I do, so I'm really blessed.
That's great.
Actually, Doc McStuffins was my very first voiceover role ever. I started in 7th grade, and I would go after school, and I would record probably 2 or 3 hours and sing her little songs.
I know that you've been at the park a number of years.
I have.
Want to tell me how this all got started?
I started off as a college student going to Cal State Fullerton, and a friend of mine told me about an audition, hey, go Titans, told me about an audition for a building called Interventions, which is no longer with us in Tomorrowland. But inside Interventions, they had an experience called Talk to Stitch, where Stitch's picture phone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you go inside and you were basically having a Skype session with Stitch in Hawaii. It was a great, unique, one-of-a-kind experience. And that was sort of my introduction to doing character voices there at the park. And then I would go on to do Turtle Talk with Crush when that opened in '05. And that was really kind of my gateway into voiceover.
I want people to know that, Joe, you do how many performances at Chalk every day? Every week?
Well, right now during COVID, we usually do about once a day, but pre-COVID, we were doing twice a day for the Children's Hospital of Orange County.
They have a direct link.
You've got a
from
direct
the park
link over there, yeah.
to.
Did you ever figure that'd be part of your day?
Never. But it's so fulfilling and so rewarding to meet and interact with these kids, and you become attached with them. And it's fundamentally different from how we normally do the ordinary show at the park, because again, you do the show and it's every 30 minutes, and that audience leaves and another audience comes in. But when it comes to doing the shows for the Children's Hospital, those kids could be staying there for a week, 2 weeks, a month, so on and so forth. And so you really do build a relationship with these children. And so, you find yourself getting attached to them, very much so.
Absolutely.
Wow. The Disney legend, Mr. Farmer.
Yes.
I understand you started out as a disc jockey or an engineer, which
actually both. I grew up in a little town in south central Kansas, annoying my parents with voices and doing it for friends around town. Kind of got a reputation for doing, like I'd come to the dinner table as John Wayne or something like that. Well, Mom, we're gonna need some French fries with those burgers. My dad would look at me and say, something's wrong with him. And that led to a degree in journalism and got into radio as a DJ. That was as close to show business as Kansas could get. So I got as local DJ in the middle of Kansas and Oklahoma, Texas. While I was in Dallas, I got into stand-up comedy. And I did that from 1982 until an agent in 1986 suggested, well, you do a lot of voices, you ought to go to Hollywood. So I got an apartment in Hollywood, left my wife Jennifer, we got married in '84, and she said, yeah, go for it. So I got an apartment in Hollywood, she stayed in Dallas, because you're gonna give it a few months to get into show business. And a few months later, my agent said, do you do any of the Disney characters? And I said, well, my favorite was Goofy, and I'd done him for a long time. I never thought it would turn into anything. But out of however many people tried out, they liked mine, and they haven't been able to get rid of me ever since. I didn't know if I was going to have the job more than one time, because when I was hired, it's not like they don't come with a crown and they say, you're now the voice of Goofy for all time. No, it's for one job, and you never know if you're going to get hired again. So I did that job, and it was one line of dialogue, and it was a looping line. In other words, I was replacing dialogue in an existing cartoon, and I'd never done that. So I was terrified to get that line out okay. I think I said something like, gosh, put my foot on the gas and I'm out of here quick. And it was for a show called Disney's Doggone Valentine. But I didn't know if I was going to do it again, and about a month and a half later, they called me again, because there were no television series with the characters and stuff. And then again and again, and by about 1990, I got a series called Goof Troop on Disney. And then, remember that far back. Oh, that's great. And then I figured, okay, maybe I've got this job. And now 35 years later, I think I've got it pretty well.
I think so. I think you're here to stay.
I go way back. When I was growing up, the only name I knew associated with the cartoons was Mel Blanc, because he had his name in the credits. And so obviously, the Looney Tunes characters were a big influence on me. I fortunately got to meet him before he passed away. I was doing background voices in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was on that. I think that's his last movie. But I got to meet with him and talk with him, which was just, starstruck as all get out. But the real hero was Dawes Butler. Now, Dawes was best known for most all of the Hanna-Barbera characters, Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, Captain Crunch, about 40 major characters. And he, when I first came out to California, had classes. And you could call him up, and a friend would say, you ought to call up Dawes Butler. The Dawes Butler? And I got his phone number, called him up, and he sounded, his real voice was kind of like Captain Crunch. Oh, hello, and he'd say, well, come on over on Wednesdays. It's $10 for like a 3-hour class. If you don't have the $10, don't worry about it. And I'd go over, and we would learn that, and the most important thing I learned was that it is not voice acting, it is voice acting. Emphasis on the acting. Whether your character has a wacky, weird voice, doesn't really matter. It's how you bring those words off the page and give them life, and give them a personality and a point of view. Acting. So he always said, hey, you want to be a good voice actor? Take acting lessons.
Sorry, my journey, story.
Your journey.
Yeah, well, I guess you could kind of say it started in the part, well, not really. I mean, truly my story starts with a mouse, like Walt Disney said, like you said so well earlier. I was a huge Disney fanatic, specifically a fan of Walt and his story and his legacy. And so I was the kid who would skip recess to go to the library and read the one Walt Disney biography book they had, cover to cover every time, hoping something would change on the inside, and it didn't. But that began a fascination with storytelling. And eventually I started to take notice of the way Disney storytelling was done with animation in particular. And I developed a fascination with drawing. I learned to draw by drawing Mickey. And so I set my sights on Disney animation very early on, and that informed my school choice and all of that, leading to a professional career as an illustrator with Hallmark greeting cards out of college. Yeah, go Hallmark. Okay, someone cares enough. I was at Hallmark, and one day I got an email out of the blue that said, do you want to be the voice of Mickey Mouse? Which I'm sure is exactly the same email you all got with your favorite characters. A friend of mine works at Pixar, she's an animator, and she received this email that had been circulated within the company looking for an understudy to the then voice of Mickey Mouse, Wayne Allwine. Wayne was the voice of Mickey at that point for 32 years. He was the third voice of Mickey. It was becoming harder for him to perform the character, so they decided to look for an understudy. That's where these auditions came in. Me, being an artist, thought it was a natural fit for me to try voiceover, something I'd never done before. So I submitted my audition purely because I was a huge Mickey fan, again, a huge Walt fan. And over the years, I had done my Mickey impression for friends, just to kind of beat them to the punch when they'd make fun of what a fanatic I was. I'd say, oh boy, every time we'd walk into Disneyland or Disney World. So I gave it a shot. I decided, why not? What do I have to lose? And after submitting that audition, I got a call back and flew myself out to LA. It was my very first time in a recording booth ever. And that just kind of started a process that unfolded somewhat slowly, but also kind of quickly. Eventually, it was no longer an understudy position because sadly we lost Wayne that year during the process. So when I did get the call that they had decided to cast me as the voice, it was really kind of a trial by fire. Like I kind of had to learn on the job. Kind of random. I started drawing Mickey and now I talk like him.
Love it.
I mean, I think I have to say my greatest hero artistically and then even into this specific role was Walt Disney. The original voice of Mickey, the creator of so many wonderful things, study and familiarize myself with those performances and how each of those, Mickey is so much bigger than any one person behind him. But Walt gave a little something different than Jimmy gave, and then Wayne, who did the voice for so long. So I'd have to say my heroes are definitely those three gentlemen who came before me.
What did it feel like to step into that iconic role?
Gosh, I've been asked that question so many times, and I still don't know how to answer it. I mean, there's sheer terror. There's excitement. There was. It felt extremely surreal that I even was, first of all, given that opportunity. But when they did officially cast me and offer it to me, I'll share a somewhat cheesy story. But I left the studio and I had some time to kill before I was, at the time, flying back to Kansas City, Missouri, where I was living. And so I had my iPod with me, and I put in my headphones, and I listened to When You Wish Upon a Star. And I walked around the perimeter of the Walt Disney Studios. And I did it on purpose just to kind of like savor the moment, as it were, because I realized my life was never going to be the same. This opportunity was huge, and my life was about to change. And so I just wanted to kind of like ground myself, as it were. I've always said the best thing you can say or do for me is to tell me no, because then I'm going to work extra hard to show you why you should have said yes. And I think having the guts to take a chance and just, you know, pursue your passions, pursue the things that make you happy.
And Bill Rogers, how did you get the gig at Disneyland? Well, first of all, how did you get into voiceover very quickly, and then
Disc jockey in South Dakota.
Okay. Leap forward to...
It could have been worse. It could have been Kansas.
Yeah.
Actually, I started out in Los Angeles at KUSC-FM, the classical music station. It is still around today at the University of Spoiled Children. A friend of mine said, one of these days I'm going to be able to do something very nice for you. As nice as you've done for us. And I was working with her and her husband at the time. I got a call. She said, we have a new partner, wants you to come meet him and see all the cool stuff he's got. Because this was 1991 and they were just starting into the business of digital recording. Well, I wandered in, got the tour, and I'm on my way out the door when the guy says, I understand you know Jack Wagner. Well, Jack was the iconic voice of Disneyland from 1970 to 1991. And I said, I have never met the man, but he's my hero. Well, we'd like you to read this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just 5 minutes, Disneyland presents the Main Street Electrical Parade. The lights will be dimmed so you can fully appreciate all of the spectacular and spectacle and fun. I don't remember this very well, but nonetheless. The point is, I came out of the booth, the guy says, I don't make the final decision, but Jack's retiring, and by Thursday, you'll know you're the new voice of Disneyland. Congratulations.
When it was time to open up the new Buena Vista Street and Cars Land and all of the great things at Disney California Adventure, they called Bill. I was driving, and they said, Bill, 2 more weeks, we're opening up this really cool stuff at Disney California Adventure. He said, I know. Where do you want me to be? When do you need me to be there? What's Camille doing? So he put me on speaker, and in one phone call, he was not only replaced, but now he's my assistant. We get to work together, and we are married, and he's the love of my life. I feel so incredibly fortunate. So
the duck is in. Oh, right.
We're still posing, no one's taking a picture.
Yeah, where'd the cameraman go?
We're not done yet.
All right, thanks, guys.
We have had a wonderful time tonight. We want to thank you. We want you to continue to support Garner Holt Foundation, and please love one another as I love this one.
I appreciate, again, all of you tonight becoming part of our education company, Garner Holt Education Through Imagination. And it's becoming more and more real. It's becoming more and more, helping more and more kids, helping, even starting to help adults, college kids, and should help even more through this scholarship. So I thank you. Look for our projects out there in the future. You will see I wish I could talk about things we're doing. There's some things I couldn't show you over there. But you will see the things that we make in a major theme park near you soon. It's been the good Lord seen fit to see my dreams come true, and I hope all of yours come true as well.
Any event that uses Fantasmic as their sign-up song is my kind of event. What a fun charity event. Tonight was great. I want to congratulate the Garner Holt Foundation on their first ever charity event. They really did it in style. And did you think anything less of the people that have done so much for all of the local theme parks? I mean, I can't stress to you what a dream factory their warehouse is, and then what an amazing event that they put on tonight. This was really, really a good time. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's kind of different for the channel, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I just want to keep taking you guys with me to all kinds of different experiences, both on and off Disney property. And this is what I would call a very, very adjacent Disney experience. And man, just knowing more how the magic is made, but also the love that the people have for the magic that make it. What a phenomenal night. Well worth the price of admission, which, thanks to Mice Chat, was half off. So tonight was their first ever auction. Tonight was their first ever charity event for a new program they have where they bring in kids and teach them how to basically Imagineer, animatronics, design, sculpt, you name it. Sort of this very, very specialty form of artwork that Garner Holt has perfected, and that's why they are the leader in the region for theme parks. They do a lot of stuff for movies. Like, there was so much IP in their warehouse that I saw things. I'm like, I know why we're not allowed to film, because I shouldn't say what I saw, and I'm going to respect their creative process. But this is a really, really great event, and they kept it both entertaining, raised a lot of money, and it was cool to see all these people get choked up, because everybody remembers it when you're a kid and you go to Disneyland, you think, wow, that's the most amazing thing ever. And then maybe at some point you realize, and some people do that for a job, and the space between being that kid, knowing that you have to work for a living, but you want a job like what these folks have, there's a huge space between those two thoughts. So it's really cool to see professionals that know how hard it is to sort of break into the entertainment industry, especially the theme park or prop industry. Like, it's extremely niche. So it's very cool to see them working on a way to allow kids to have a quicker entry into such a dream job, and also how much focus they put on diversity and knowing that every kid doesn't have the same resources to make their dreams happen, we'll say. And it's exciting to see people that have done well in life realize that and try to contribute to people that are a reflection of who they were at one point. So all in all, really, really great night. And I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, a little bit different, but it's kind of the vibe of the channel right now. And when I saw that this was going up, I couldn't pass up an opportunity to come. So once again, thank you so much to Dusty over at Mice Chat for hooking me up and making this affordable for myself. I believe the general admission ticket that I got was $175. People at the tables paid, I believe, $275, and that seemed to include a dinner. You also got a tour of the Fun Factory, but of course, I didn't realize how far this place was. Paid $8 to ride in the fast track lane that came to a complete stop, and everybody else was flying by us. I'm like, why did I pay $8 to sit in a parking lot on the side of the 91. Well, congratulations, dummy. Welcome to California. Thank you so much for an amazing night. It's nice to see another guy that looks like a tough guy, but the magic also makes him weak to make him cry. And I got a question for you. What do we got to do to get you a window on Main Street? I think you're very deserving.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Oh, come on, man.
I don't know anything. To even think of that would be a dream come true. But I've been honored and blessed through a lot of things to the Disney parks, and there have been people that have mentioned things like that. But
I'm pulling for it. I'm pulling for it, Garner. I think you deserve it.
If you're one of my first people in the fan club to push that,
we're pushing it. We're pushing it. But hey, thank you so much for what you've done for all of us, man. It's amazing what you've done for the magic and for all of us. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you, and I appreciate your support here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm leaving with treats. Treats from Disneyland. That's right. That's right. If you stood in line forever to get a popcorn bucket for the Main Street Electrical Parade, well, I was just greased one coming out of the door. What am I going to do with this? Okay, so those are all voice actors, as you probably figured it out. But it's really fun to see all of them in their element. And I know when you do panels, because I host panels and stuff, it's like everybody's kind of afraid to step up and, say something too outrageous because you're right next to your peers. And, who do you want to impress most in this world? Your peers, especially when some of your peers are legends like tonight. But I thought that was a good conversation. Was happy to see it. Happy to put some faces to some familiar voices. And got another vote of confidence on Got a vote of confidence on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I feel like I'm not saying that right. It's been a crazy night, and I got a handful of treats. And I got the Doodle Bug, I got Elliot, and they also the light bulb, which I kind of feel like I could paint that red and white and make it the real light bulb. Yeah, dude, look who's got sick merch. I'm into the merch game. Love Disney merch. Real talk, that was great. That was really, really fun. And want to do more different stuff like this because there's so much magic that happens outside of the park. There's so many people that contribute to what happens inside the park that aren't Disney official employees. So when you talk to someone like Garner and you're like, yo, you deserve a window on Main Street. He's like, no, I couldn't do that. It's like, bro, you have done so much. Your company has done so much for Disney. It's very inspiring. It's very inspiring to know that he went there as a boy. That sparked his imagination and his creativity. And this is what he did with it. That's inspirational, to say the least. What a guy. What a legend. Yeah, sure. Sure, now it's only an hour and 2 minutes, but that was not the case when I left the house at 5 o'clock. Not the case at all.